strike to count underway in Atlanta.
I liked the way Coach Morales actually described Georgia's lineup. She said the 3 Gs between Goodnight, Goodwin, and Gordon. So you have to be careful. Try to contain at least 1 or 2 of them.
I think I saw that written somewhere in the game notes as well. Riley Morales, Georgia Tech graduate back in 2009. She was quick to point out her record against UGA in our conversation with her earlier today. More on that later. That one's fouled away. Still 1-2.
I don't think there's any disagreement that when they say this matchup is a sense of pride, that was very evident with Coach Morales.
6-3 in her Georgia Tech career against the Bulldogs.
Well, that's definitely, I mean, something to be proud of, especially when you're going up against an SEC school.
And a punch out to start things off. Sophia Voiles. And there's one away as Goodnight heads back to the dugout.
Voiles doing a good job mixing locations and mixing speeds, but this a nice backdoor curve just on the outer half. Goodnight thought that was going to stay on the outer part of the plate. So far, Voiles looking really sharp with how she's able to locate her pitches.
A lot of Georgia natives throughout the lineup for both sides tonight. Tyler Ellison digs in. And it's 0-1 from McDonough, Georgia, Hampton High School. And now a junior in Athens. Coach Baldwin telling us this season that she really has earned every single thing that she has gotten. Even going back to her freshman year, she didn't play as a freshman, but she still was named the team's most improved player, which speaks a lot to what was happening under the surface.
Well, that, and then you look at even her sophomore year, still didn't play a ton, did have just over 20 starts. But then this year, an everyday starter for the Georgia Bulldogs. And it's the development piece, but it's the story that you try to tell recruits. Like, yes, everyone wants to play as a freshman. Sometimes that doesn't happen. You stay somewhere, you develop under them, you earn your keep, and look what's happening. She's having an absolute breakout year this year.
Ball and 2 strikes to count, and Voiles settles in low and inside. Now, you and I have had the outstanding privilege of calling a couple of rivalry games in the last 7 days, going back to last Tuesday night. We were in upstate South Carolina for the Clemson-South Carolina matchup. Ironically, Georgia Tech will end their ACC season against those same Tigers here in Atlanta this coming weekend. But you can feel the energy and how these fans get into it and how the teams care so much about it. It's a great vibe.
You can see the fans filing in. We got plenty of red over to our right for the Georgia fans making the quick trip.
I mean, you just jump on 316 and then you're on 85 before you know it. I mean, it's an hour. That's all it is. And if you hit the traffic, sometimes that could be an issue.
Well, there you go. Quick trip. There's no reason for your faithful not to travel with you. I think that's what makes these rivalries so good most of the time, is the fans being able to make the trips. You know, when I was in school, I have Texas A&M. It's a hour-and-a-half, 2-hour drive, so your fans go ahead and make that trip with you, and it just allows the environment to be that much more competitive.
7th pitch of the AB, and deep in the hole, Simon makes the play for Tech. And there's 2 away. Simon made that look almost routine.
Off the bat, I thought that was going to poke through, and she was able to glove it, but it was the glove it and make the transition without having to take a step to make a great throw. The freshman really has been steady for the Yellow Jackets there at shortstop.
Right back to the circle and grabbed cleanly by Voiles to retire.
Has had very bright moments this season, and Coach Tony Baldwin talks a lot about the changeup that she throws. She's going to throw in the low 60s. Similar to Voiles, a lot of upspin, so rise, curve, a little bit of a drop you'll see, but the changeup can be thrown in any count.
Vukadinovich on the first pitch bunts it right back to Backus. And there's 1 away.
That's a great play by Backus there as a left-handed pitcher. Not always easy to be able to turn and make a great throw with speed getting down the line. See so many lefties overturn and then make a bad throw, whether it goes high or takes the first baseman or second baseman into the line.
Alyssa Willer takes high, ball 1. And Grayson Tucker, you see her numbers pacing the Yellow Jackets in home runs and RBIs so far this year. Miller batting in the 2-hole. Leschper the on-deck circle as Backus fires in low.
Pointing out Backus changeup. It's going to be key for Georgia Tech, and Coach Morales told us this. She wants to see them aggressive early. Try to get to Backus before she can mix speeds. We saw in that replay from last year that quite a few swing and misses on that off-speed pitch. So she wants her team to be in control of the bat early.
Willard, just a freshman, Bethlehem, Georgia. Been the leading hitter a good portion of this season. Three balls and a strike to count. We're getting the start in left field again tonight. And Backus outside, and Georgia Tech has its first base runner on the free pass to Alyssa Willer.
If there's one area to take advantage of, it is the free passes. Coach Tony Baldwin's quick to point out that the free passes have been an issue for his pitching staff. But on the flip side, he also pointed out that the one game that they didn't walk anybody, they gave up like 14 hits. So he's like, there's something to a balance of both. But for Georgia Tech, if they can string some free passes plus well-executed balls in play, they could be in business.
Here's Leschper, and the first pitch stays high. Addison Leschper, originally from Texas, started her career at Minnesota. Third on the team coming into tonight, the .344 average. Ball and a strike to count.
About to say she's from down my way.
Thrall, Texas.
Yeah, in the Central Texas area. She played her travel ball, North Austin.
You and I were talking. I live next door in South Carolina. You live in Texas, and you can hit about 3 or 4 different states in the span of 2 hours from where we are right now in downtown Atlanta. In Texas, it's like 4 times that to get to the next state.
It was like I drive 2 hours and I'm just the next big city over if I'm lucky.
Outside to Leschper, and hitters count now at 3-1. With Willer over at first base for the Yellow Jackets, how important would it be for Tech to get off to a great start, an early start tonight? Inside, and Backus walks consecutive hitters. And Georgia Tech with a runner in scoring position. Willer now standing at second base. Leschper at first for Grayson Turner.
Well, early momentum right now for the Yellow Jackets. Doesn't have to even be created by getting hits, but just seeing the pitches, being able to identify what's in the zone, what's not. Force Lily Backus to throw more pitches, which allows every hitter down the line to be prepared for what she's attacking them with.
Now, Georgia Tech, of course, hasn't played a game in 9 days. No midweek tilt last week. Scheduled to play the 3-game series in Tallahassee, and obviously the awful tragedy on campus going back to last Friday canceled that 3-game series. And so the Yellow Jackets have been off when traditionally would be a very hectic time of year at the end of the regular season. First pitch strike to Tucker. Certainly our thoughts and prayers with all of our friends at FSU. And
absolutely.
It was devastating to hear that news.
Well, Coach Morales told us they weren't very far down the road when the news came and that they canceled everything on campus, so they turned around and came home. But she even talked about how important it was for them to be together.
Over to Ellison at second, and Georgia able to turn 2. And the Innings. So here's Sarah Gordon. Lexington, South Carolina. Transfer from Louisville. And Gordon takes inside to even the count. Former ACC Freshman of the Year. And there's some connectivity between some of these Georgia players and former ACC schools, Kat.
Yeah, with the transfer portal now, so many prospects, either A, you don't play early in your career, you can go find somewhere where you can, or B, just need to find a new home, try to compete at a different level, and Gordon one of those.
Shallow right field, and Gottlieb was there to make the easy play. And a good start for Sophia Voiles.
Voiles really commanding the at-bats right now. 4 for 4 in first pitch strikes, which is key, and it's not the same pitch every time. So right now, Georgia not really being able to split the plate or sit one side because Voiles has been effective on both sides.
Here's Lindy Ray Davis. Senior out of Calhoun, Georgia. Also played basketball in high school. Kat, you and I have talked a lot about that in our games we've worked together. Davis sends this into foul territory, and Simon's going to race over to make the grab.
Simon covering a lot of ground on that fly ball. Most of the time you assume left field's going to come in and get that, but Simon all the way deep into the line.
Simon says that was hers.
Wasn't ready for that one.
5 up, 5 down for Voiles, and here's Emily Digby. And the starting shortstop for the Bulldogs takes a first pitch strike. It's turned out to be a fairly reasonable night in terms of temperature, humidity. And towards the end of April, you never know what you're going to get here in downtown Atlanta, Midtown, if you will. DeConnolly at second, and another perfect inning for Sophia Voiles. 3 up, 3 down. Georgia Tech coming back up to bat in a scoreless affair here at Mewborn Field.
If you keep making that face, it's going to stay like that.
Funny. I'm trying to get my own car insurance.
Well, that's easy. USAA.
I thought that was for the military.
And their families. Grandpa served, and he joined USAA. He shared membership with your mom, so she'll give it to you.
Really?
And they'll take good care of you.
USAA. Members who switched saved an average of $725 annually on auto insurance.
Welcome to the start of the new year.
Coming out hard like 8 ball. Nice and control.
Worry about yourself, nobody else.
We've been flying, that's so plain.
Keep grinding, Peloton.
Look at all.
I'm here with you, come on.
Get all these niggas that can't compete.
Walk in, out.
I be going hard.
That's the way you push through, baby. Proud of you.
Well, the head coach for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, also a graduate from Tech, Eileen Morales, and boy, her 8th season now. Very proud to boast a 6-3 record against Georgia during her playing days, and there's a lot of pride there that she talks about with her team, and there you see the record. And how about the sweep back-to-back seasons in 07-08?
Well, and she was very verbal about that, saying, you know, we had the winning record when I was here. I try to tell our players that to get them excited about what this rivalry means and try to pass on just that pride and that urgency in a rivalry game like this.
Eliana Gottlieb on the first pitch that she sees. Inside outs it over to left field, and Georgia Tech with its first knock of the night. Lily Backus back to the drawing board after a couple of free passes in an active home half of the first. And now it's Connolly. Good piece of hitting there, and Connolly takes up and away.
I think it's such an advantage for these athletes to have a coach, and both sides have it, as Chelsea Wilkinson was part of this rivalry as well, pitching for Georgia. But to have coaches that have been part of this rivalry and pass down what that means.
Runner goes, and the throw down to second is in time. Well, a strike delivered from Miller behind home plate. And Gottlieb caught stealing.
Delayed swing, and I thought Gottlieb was going to get in there on this one. A little bit of a delayed throw by Miller, but
I mean, you can't place the softball any better than that, can you?
Yeah, no, that throw took the glove right to the bag, right where the foot was sliding in. Nice throw by Miller behind the plate.
Marissa Miller, the junior from Sewanee, Georgia. Gottlieb now 6 of 9 in the stolen base department. 2 balls and a strike to count. Grace Connolly golfs it. Shallow left center and a running grab by Dallas Goodnight. And quickly, 2 away after a promising start for Tech.
Swinging early in the count on pitches that are hard, trying to stay away from that changeup that Backus has. Still a little late there, getting the easy pop-up for Goodnight.
Off speed and upstairs, 1-0 to Jaden Gailey. Livonia, Georgia, Franklin County High School. Number 4. Right back up the middle, second hit of the frame. Gailey now standing at first base.
This pitch inside. Great job by Gailey, though, just being able to nice and easy take it up the middle. You can tell the Yellow Jackets not trying to do too much, not over swinging at Backus, just seeing the ball in the zone. And as the first inning, the 2 walks, making sure that the ball stays in the zone.
Willie Backus has fallen behind 2 balls and a strike now to 3 hitters so far tonight. And here's Reese Hunter, the junior from Roswell. 51 starts last season. Catcher to shortstop over at Roswell. And the hot corner there is Williams. And a diving grab over at third base. Mua Williams gets the job done.
Well, Mua Williams giving Georgia a little bit of momentum going into the top of the 3rd here against Georgia Tech.
Well, it's always fun to showcase clean old-fashioned hate. We go back to their previous meeting 405 days ago over in the Classic City, and Georgia jumping out in front first. The Bulldogs would hold on to the 6-3 win at Jack Turner back on March 13th of 2024. You kind of wish that maybe they would play more than one time a season when you got a rivalry like this when 2 top 25 teams, but we get 1 a year, we'll take what we can get.
Well, and I'm sure year to year, the coaches kind of look at the roster they're going to have, how competitive they think they're going to be. I'm sure there's years they play 2 times and they're okay if they get both games in, and others that maybe it's better just to do it once, depending on what other midweek options you have.
Will Williams, 0-1. Freshman from Hawaii. One of the players of the year in that state before arriving in Athens. Youngest of 8, sport management major. Tony Baldwin talking about her progress this season. He said she's starting to connect some dots. I've seen that at times in flashes. Fouls that one into the dirt, still 0-2.
Only 2 freshmen in the starting lineup. Williams, one of those for Georgia tonight. There have been times where Tony Baldwin started 3 freshmen in the infield alone.
Does that make you nervous as a starting pitcher?
You know, it depends what they typically play behind you like, but in a rivalry matchup like this, when the emotions can get high, sometimes if you're a veteran pitcher, you know how the environment can overtake young players. So it can make you a little nervous, but also give you the opportunity to obviously lead a young infield.
1-2 pitch is hammered foul down the left field line and well out of play. And that had some distance on it. You can see her potential and the raw power. The home-and-home series between these two stopped back in 2019. Good battle here between Williams and Voiles. The 7th pitch, the AB coming up next.
That's the first extended at bat Georgia's had against Voiles. She's been able to retire them rather quickly, only 7 pitches in the second inning alone.
2-2. And the entire crowd here thought that was strike 3. Kat, your thoughts?
That was a really pretty changeup that fooled Williams with it being on the inner half as opposed to the outer half.
First game for Tech in 9 days after the Florida State series was canceled. 3-hopper over to Simon, gobbles it up, and there's 1 away.
Well, talking about freshmen in the lineup, Emma Simon. She looks like an absolute veteran there at shortstop, and not easy shoes to fill. She took over from a 4-year starter, Jen Soleo. And Coach Morales has talked about how hard of a gap that was to fill, and that fact that her and Tucker both weren't on that side of the infield last year, but Simon looking like an absolute pro over there tonight.
Yeah, she has been impressive, crisp. It's turned out to be a nice night in Atlanta. Marissa Miller, the batter.
And on top of it, shortstop is the position Coach Morales played, so
better be good.
There's a high standard, not just following Soleo, but also knowing that your head coach is a Hall of Famer at that position here at Georgia Tech.
Awfully big shoes to fill. Ball and a strike to count. Miller threw out Gottlieb trying to steal second moments ago. The momentum stopper. After Georgia Tech had put a couple of runners on base. Miller played over at North Gwinnett High School. Rifles this one into center field and above the glove. Vukadinovic could not bring it in. And a double with 1 away has the Bulldogs in business. And that was a rope.
This pitch just left over the heart of the plate, and Miller attacks it. Looks like Vukadinovic might have a play on it, but sometimes those line drives are a little bit deceiving. You think they're higher or lower than they are, but that one right past the glove of Vukadinovic out there in center field.
And Page at 5'11", a junior Indiana native, thought she had it gauged properly, and that ball had a little bit of a side spin on it. And here's White. Mr. White, first baseman.
Can't tell me how many times I've seen, especially at night, those line drives be misjudged, and a center fielder may run in as opposed to back because I think it's going to be lower than it is.
As a pitcher, you don't like that when that happens.
You don't like that when that happens.
Out in front, it's 0-2. White batting 9th tonight out of New Johnsonville, Tennessee. Take a look at some of that freshman class. Paisley Allen, White. They're trying to put together. Head coach Tony Baldwin and Williams, mainstay in that starting lineup.
Well, Paisley Allen was at second base for a while for Georgia. And that made Tyler Ellison the only upperclassman in the infield, trying to have to keep them together.
And White foul tips it right into the mid of Hunter. And the second strikeout for Voiles.
White showed that she was vulnerable to this changeup earlier than in the at-bat. Strike 3 just over the top of it. Nice pitch by Voiles as it sinks on that outside corner.
Boyles 20 pitches in the first 2 innings and 17 so far in our third. Nothing in one, the count. Back to the top of the order. And Dallas, good night.
I have to believe Tony Baldwin was talking to his offense in between innings about making Boyles pitch a little bit more. They were getting out so quickly in that second inning, only 7 pitches. Not what you want to see from your offense unless they're barreling balls up and they're just happen to hit right ats or hard ground balls that Georgia Tech's making good plays on.
Well, this rivalry, no matter what the sport, always intense, always heated. And Goodnight fouls it back. 1-2. I was curious just in calling this softball game for the first time between these two. Would the clean old-fashioned hate, rivalry, and moniker, would that carry over? And it does. It was front and center on the game notes, which I enjoy. That's how it should be, right?
It should. You want everybody to be.
Tech, you take a look at their season summary. 8th in the conference right now. They have been assured an appearance in the ACC tournament. That's good news. The RPI at 34. That's solid, right, Kat?
Well, that is solid. The unfortunate part is not getting to play against Florida State, who's a top 10 opponent. That could have helped their RPI if they take a game from Florida State, but just playing against a top 10 opponent helps. But they're 3-4 against quad 1 opponents, which is good. They have the 12th strongest non-conference schedule, so that bodes well for them. So right now, Georgia Tech looks pretty good. They still need to finish out strong, which would obviously help them be nowhere close to being on the bubble.
That's right, and just one more conference series remaining. Clemson comes to town this weekend for a 3-game series, the final regular season series in conference play. So that becomes critical. And then also tonight, you've got a top 25 team in your house. It's a rivalry game, of course. Emma Simon down, 0-2. Tremendous at shortstop so far tonight. Now a ball and 2 strikes, but that positioning this time of year. I mean, the coaches, I think, have been pretty transparent in this league, in the SEC, and talking about how they talk about it with their teams. And if you're kind of on that bubble, Simon strikes out, then every inning, every pitch, every game, and its outcome becomes critical. First strikeout for Lily Backus.
Lily Backus just comes inside with a curveball, and Simon unable to barrel that one up. But Lily Backus not getting as many swing and misses tonight from Georgia Tech. Just 2 so far.
Vukadinovic saw 1 pitch in her first plate appearance. And bunted out right back to Backus in the circle. Ball and a strike to count to Page. Indiana native, Munster High School, second on the team coming into tonight with a .350 batting average. 4-year letter winner in center field back in Indiana. And her rise has been a methodical one on her junior campaign for the ACC.
So many hitters with lefty speed. You'll see that gradual rise. They come in, they can slap, they can bunt, they get themselves on base. Sophomore year, people know how to play them. They have to start trying to swing away. And now as a junior, swinging away more than she is running through the box and using small ball.
Another good take and a walk issued by Backus. That'll be her 3rd free pass of the night. And for Georgia Tech, a runner at first base in a scoreless affair. Part of the order coming up. Alyssa Willer getting set to dig back in. All right, second time through the order, the pitcher's mentality to try to maybe show them something that they haven't seen the first time around.
We're seeing more changeups out of Lily Backus right now. Vukadinovic got one that she swung through. We see it there on the first pitch here to Willer. Didn't see a whole lot of those in the first inning against this part of the lineup, so you can tell she's going to try to use that earlier in the count with the fact that Georgia Tech is waiting her out a little bit.
Willer, another 3-sport athlete in high school. Basketball, also track and field prep ranks. You and I have talked about that, something we're a big fan of. More importantly, your opinion there, just to continue to play those multiple sports, and seems to help your footwork, your coordination, and I don't know, it diversifies the portfolio.
It does. It allows you to be more athletic. You just don't train only one way.
Fly ball straightaway center, and 1 foot in front of the track. Good night, able to track it down, and racing back is Vukadinovic. 2 away here in the home half of the third. Don't forget this week's ACC Network feature baseball matchup. Only one on the schedule coming up Thursday. Number 2 Clemson at number 25 NC State. They'll start a 3-game series. Doak Field at Dale Park and Riley. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern. Really good baseball being played in the league this year. And Lily Backus all smiles. A brief conversation in the circle. Vukadinovic remains at first after Willer flies out to center field. That'll get us to Addie Leshper. Addison Leshper was a 2024 Big Ten Distinguished Scholar at Minnesota. I say that really out of jealousy because I don't think anybody ever said that about me in my academic career.
I think that makes 2 of us.
I was tossing that out there to see if you would take the bait.
I'll be real quick. I was an academic All-American 1 year, and that was my freshman year. So tested out of some classes, got some A's because of that. And
Yeah, you got to put that on the resume, though. That's nice.
on the resume, but other than that, I was there to get my psychology degree and play softball.
Not a bad way to do business down there in Austin. 2-1 the count. Leshper sends it foul down the first baseline. 2-2. And Lily Backus working around some traffic tonight. She appears to be in control when you look at her demeanor and in the circle. She has not been stressed. Big cut by Leshper, and fouls it straight back.
Well, Georgia Tech has had success against her, forcing her to throw a lot of pitches, working in some deep counts. I've worked 3 walks already. But as you said, she doesn't show anything. She has that poker face. She's unfazed there in the circle.
And the 2-2 swatted down the left field line, foul territory, running out of real estate and in and out of the glove of Goodwin. Boy, she gave it everything that she had. And that collision, I think, forced the ball out, prevented a potential out in what would have been an incredible play.
I think she had it till she hit the wall, and then hitting the wall knocked it out of the glove. You saw the disappointment of her as she slapped the glove on the wall.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, that was high and tight, almost a swing. Protect the inner part there.
Right. Leshper fouled that off into her helmet. See here, she swings, that goes right up into the face mask. That's where you're glad you have the face mask.
Right. Served over to second baseman Tyler Ellison. And that will retire the side. Jacket strand a runner. Eileen Morales joins us. Coach, can you hear us? Yeah, we'll scrap the interview and we'll see if we can get that interview restarted. And there is the pitcher that we were just talking about, Sophia Voiles. She's been tremendous so far tonight, Kat.
No, she had a great start, first inning, struck out Dallas Goodnight looking, and since then hasn't slowed down. Georgia going to look to make her work even a little bit deeper in the count. She threw more pitches in the third than she had in the first and second, but she's still been in command. It's the fact that she's so good, first pitch of the at bat, and then able to expand the strike zone. Georgia not being overly aggressive early.
It'll be 2, 3, and 4. Due up first for the Bulldogs as Voiles delivers and Ellison falls behind. 0-1. 9 first pitch strikes for Voiles thus far. And she has been electric. Top of the 4th inning. Serve foul. 0-2.
She's so successful today because of her pitch variation. You see there, Ellison swings and misses at the first pitch. It's a changeup, but she hasn't been throwing just one pitch for that first pitch strike. She's been able to throw her curve, throw her drop, use a rise ball to get a swing and miss when she needs it. And I think that's what's making it difficult for Georgia, as you can't say, okay, I'm going to sit curveball for the first 2 pitches or until I get 2 strikes, because you may not see it with how well she's executing all of her pitches tonight.
1-2 to Ellison, and just fouled down the first baseline. Mentioned earlier, this is the first game for Georgia Tech in 9 days after the Florida State series was canceled. The awful tragedy on campus going back to late last week. Certainly our thoughts and prayers with everyone in Tallahassee that was impacted campus at FSU. And for Georgia Tech, they were in transit down Interstate 75, going to bust down there. Got the word about 2 hours south of Atlanta it wasn't going to happen. Reaching grab by Leshper comes up empty. And new life for Tyler Ellison. But on the field, you would think there could be a little bit of a rust factor in. It's normally a hectic time of the season near the end of the regular season. No midweek game last week. 3-game series is canceled. They were itching to get out here and play tonight.
Well, you have to remember, these athletes spend almost all of January playing each other, and that's the last thing you want to do in season as well.
Ellison, a leadoff double, and the Bulldogs in business to begin things here in the top of the 4th. Oh, Tyler Ellison, good piece of hitting. Sent that one down the left field line, and that'll be second double of the season.
Ellison almost sneaked one by Leshper down the right field line. It went just foul, but she's able to get enough of this one, and it just stays fair to stay inside that third base line. You see Mike Davenport over there at third base, making sure she knows you're going all the way to second. Got a leadoff double for Ellison.
What do you think the approach will be here for Tony Baldwin? Got a runner in scoring position. Bulldogs 0 for 2. This pertains to that so far tonight, and squaring to bunt is Goodwin.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead and just has her bunt her over. I mean, 60 feet away, and you got Gordon and Lindy Ray Davis coming up behind her. Both quality hitters. There's a lot of power. Lindy Ray Davis, batting average has dropped this year, but she also has 38 walks. People aren't trying to let her be the one who wins and loses a ball game.
Up the middle into center field for a base hit. The stop sign is put on. And on the throw, it'll be Goodwin that advances to second. And so Georgia now with runners at second and third. Vukadinovich gave everything she had to make sure she got that back into the infield as quick as possible.
On this pitch, up in the zone, and it could have been a rise ball on the outside half, assuming that she was bunting. But Goodwin able to drive that up. But that throw by Vukadinovich, it's so high no one can cut it, which allows Goodwin to continue on to second base. If that throws lower, that cut could be made, and this could be first and third as opposed to 2 runners in scoring position for the Bulldogs.
Well, this veteran umpiring crew meeting between the circle and third base. Kim Ellison calling balls and strikes tonight. And they're going to take a look at that last sequence. Donald Brown, our first base umpire. Russell McLaughlin over at third. This is where you would love that communication to see exactly what transpired there that requires the additional action. As it stands now, Bulldogs with runners at second and third, no one out.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what they could be appealing, because there was no, even if a runner ran into a player, no one could have made a play on the ball up the middle. Shortstop didn't have a chance to possibly catch it. And no one interfered while the throw was being made.
See if they want to look at where Simon was positioned, as Ellison was able to get over to third base.
Here we see the ball up the middle. Now they're going to have to decide if the runner running into Simon was enough to prohibit her from possibly having a play on this.
You see the glove reaches out and maybe some contact with the arm as it's swinging.
Yeah.
Did that impede Ellison being able to get to third as quickly as she wanted to? Good angle there.
Yeah, well, the question is going to be, did the contact prohibit Simon from possibly being able to make a play? You see Simon kind of reaches out towards the runner too, and you can't necessarily reach out and touch the runner in order for that interference to happen. They've kind of cleaned that rule up a little bit. I think the other question is going to be is, where is the ball? If it's already past Simon as she's making contact with the runner, then the ball goes down as a hit. She wouldn't have had a play on it.
Checking for interference between second and third. Ellison ruled safe at third base. Back-to-back hits for Georgia when Boyles has been in cruise control up to this point.
Boyles have been cruising as far as just controlling the at-bat, but I don't know if Goodwin showing bunt on the first pitch made Boyles relax a little bit, because that second pitch, while it was up, it wasn't as sharp and as good location as she's been having. So maybe thinking she was bunting again, going to leave a rise ball in the zone, and instead Goodwin stays on top of it and drove it up the middle.
Just not sure there was enough there to warrant any sort of change in what we saw originally ruled.
I don't know that touch of the glove really prohibited Simon from being able to make a play.
So Ellison at third, Goodwin at second. Both runners ruled safe, no interference. And which one of these rivals is going to scratch the scoring column first? It'll be Sarah Gordon. Chance to do some major damage. Flying out to right field her first time up. And Boyles comes home low and away. Mentioned Gordon, the transfer from Louisville, the former ACC Freshman of the Year in 2023. Tremendous season there in the Derby City, that campaign. Inside, and it's 2-0.
Now you see the pressure of runners in scoring position might be getting to Boyles a little bit. She hasn't been behind in the count like this to a hitter so far in this game.
That's her first 2-0 count. And this one sent foul just beside third base.
And if there's one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to load the bases ahead of Lindy Ray Davis. Again, the average down, but a hitter who has known power throughout her career.
Gordon, plenty of power as well. That was the squeeze, and it's bunted foul. 2-2.
Boyles throwing a changeup there. I think Tony Baldwin taking a chance that off-speed pitch might have been coming and trying to get the butt down, as normally a changeup, pretty easy pitch to get on the ground.
And the 2-2 from Boyles. Serve to deep right field. Off the wall, 1 run is in. 2 runs will score. Ellison and Goodwin make it 2-0 Georgia, and the triple off the bat of Sarah Gordon. And the Bulldogs strike first on the road. Gordon, second triple of the season.
Well, another pitch, outer half, up in the zone. Gordon doesn't even finish her swing on this one, and that goes all the way to the wall. The speed of Gordon able to get to third easily on that. First scoring threat that Georgia really has, and they're able to cash in.
All started with a double off the bat of Ellison, and Goodwin a single up the middle. And the Dogs now 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position, and that'll bring us to Lindy Ray Davis.
I like the response from Goodwin, though. She doesn't put the squeeze bunt down. That's a foul ball, but she's not phased. Next pitch absolutely hammers it to the wall. That's where you can see an athlete's just going pitch to pitch, and it didn't work out in my favor. Yes, you're going to be bummed you didn't execute it, but you didn't let it affect the entire at-bat.
And we talked about the importance of this game as Aaron Dixon heads to the circle. Well, for both sides, Georgia is still ranked in the top 25 and in position for postseason play. Georgia Tech with that RPI of 34 that we discussed earlier, trying to get back to the postseason. We know that Tech will be in the ACC tournament, but trying to get to the NCAA tournament. A win tonight would be huge in that regard. And a big moment here for both sides. Boyles spent a combined 16 minutes in the circle in those first 3 innings, 11 minutes already and counting here in the 4th. Big win for the ACC earlier tonight. Clemson defeated the Lady Vols up in Knoxville. How about that for a midweek series? ACC, SEC, like what we're seeing here, a midweek game, I should say. It was a 4-3 victory for the Tigers in 9 innings in Knoxville. And that's important from a Georgia Tech perspective. Yellow Jackets will get Clemson here for 3 this weekend.
Right. And right now, every time you have the opportunity to play against a ranked opponent, it helps you. Obviously, wins help you even more, but just playing against the ranked opponents increase your RPI. And not to mention, these are teams you're going to possibly see in the postseason, whether it's in regionals or supers. I mean, now with how big the SEC is, you're probably going to be paired with an SEC school that's in your radius.
Lindy Ray Davis with 38 free passes this season. Top 15 in the country in that category. 3-1.
The rhythm of Boyles was so good the first couple innings. She was attacking the strike zone. She was in control. This inning, I feel like she's just moving a little bit slower even between pitches.
High and tight, runners at the corners. Still nobody out. And 2 runs are in.
That finesse that the senior had just isn't as apparent here in the 4th inning.
And the first walk issued by Boyles. Tony Baldwin comes out of the dugout, get a pinch runner over at first base.
Tony Baldwin made an addition to his staff in the offseason this past year, and actually rather late into almost the beginning of the school year, as he hired Mike Davenport, who controls third base over there. But Mike Davenport, longtime head coach at North Georgia Division II school, has a couple national championships under his belt as a head coach. But Tony Baldwin said he was the easy choice when they could hire, or they needed a spot in that third assistant role.
We had a great conversation with him before Game 3 in Tuscaloosa a few weeks back. 2-0 our score. Emily Digby, as Castori now is the pinch runner at first base. Digby the batter. Squares to bunt. Here comes the runner from third. The glove toss, not in time. 3-0 Dogs, and now runners at second and third. Some heads-up base running by all parties. Well, a lot happening there. Gordon racing home to score. Castori now standing at third base, and Digby at second as all of that unfolded.
This is Georgia taking advantage of not only a young infield for Georgia Tech, but just the momentum that's riding in their favor. That toss by Tucker too high, and then the bases weren't covered, and so you see the sprint to third by Simon, and then even Digby being able to beat out Connolly over to second. Georgia heads up base running. That's just a lack of focus and defensive execution on Georgia Tech's side right there.
So Gordon comes home on the sacrifice. Castori now at third base. Digby at second. And here's Williams. Bulldogs with 3 on the board and still no one out.
That's one of those plays as an offense. Most of the time you just celebrate that the squeeze bunt got down, right? And so you're able to score the run, but then to get both runners continue moving into scoring position. Just everything went right in Georgia's favor there.
And the 0-2 on the way to Williams. On the inner half, and a called strike 3. And a much needed first out for Georgia Tech.
Boyle is responding this on the inner half.
Third strikeout for Sophia. Digby and Castoria still on base for Marissa Miller.
Miller with the first hit of the day for the Bulldogs in the third inning, and doubled dead center field. That was the first real solid contact that Georgia had.
Bunted straight up in the air, and Hunter trying to turn around. Fell down right behind home plate. It would have been a tough play, no matter how you slice it. And the smile gives that away.
As a catcher, that's so hard. You have to pop up, turn around, get rid of your mask, and she knew it was behind her, but you see as she pops up, that foot just slips out from under her.
Back up the middle. Over to first in time for Simon.
As well, she's changing speed, she's changing eye levels and doing a lot of good things. So when she's executing her pitches, she can compete with anybody in the country, and you know, that's what we're working to get from her, and she's capable of doing it, and looking forward to having a good inning here.
Coach, on the flip side, Sophia Voiles kind of had y'all's number the first 3 innings. What was the conversation going into that 4th inning in which you guys were able to put up 4?
Well, I thought when we really started that second time through the order, Dallas hit a ball real hard, and then we had a string of really good at-bats. But, you know, ultimately just proud of the adjustment that we made. You know, she was really working that inside curveball to the right-handed hitters and coming in on the lefties. And, you know, just proud of us getting on time and really more so than anything just competing and executing.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Best of luck rest of the way.
Thank you.
Tony Baldwin, year 4 as the head man in Athens after more than 11 seasons prior as an assistant, and always fun to chat with. Clean old-fashioned hay tonight in Midtown. And let's see what Georgia Tech has in store as the Jackets try to rally against Lily Backus. It'll be 4, 5, and 6 to up first. Tucker, Gottlieb, and Connolly.
Well, Georgia Tech has been knocking on the door. They've been able to get runners on every inning. Now it's time for them to string some together, execute to be able to get some runs in. They're going to have to respond here in some way, some fashion, whether it's just barrels or being able to scratch a couple runs back.
It was a 6-3-2 double play that ended Georgia's extended scoring threat. And here's Tucker, takes high for ball one. Now Backus, a couple of first inning walks. Had her third free pass in the third inning. And has settled in nicely, yielding just the 2 hits. 1-1 the count to Tucker.
On to Tony Baldwin's point, he said when all of her pitches are working, she's able to compete with anyone in the country. And that doesn't mean she's dominating them with double-digit strikeouts and not occasionally giving up hits or free passes. It means that if she gets herself in trouble, she's been able to get out of it, and that's what she's done tonight. So even though her pitch count's been a little bit deeper at times, the free passes aren't something you like. If you can get out of it without run scoring, without the other team being able to gain momentum, you're doing your job.
Tucker paces Tech with 11 home runs this season. And the 2-2 from Backus. And it was low and away, and the swing and miss. Tucker strikes out. So Lily Backus starting to settle in a little bit more. That's her second strikeout of the night.
Well, it's important for Georgia Tech to find a way to bounce back here. If you're Georgia, you want Lily Backus, go out, attack the hitters, but try to have a shutdown inning. Keep that momentum swung to your side as much as possible.
Backus now at 51 pitches. 1-0, Eliana Gottlieb. Newport Beach, California, the transfer from Oregon State. Played with the Israeli national softball team, former all Pac-12 freshman team out in Corvallis. Squares to bunt and sends it foul. 1-2. Now Georgia Tech last weekend with no series ended up basically playing a handful of competitive innings, inter-squad scrimmage on Friday and Saturday to try to stay as sharp as possible. And then Coach Morales basically gave the team 2 days off, which you would think gives you a chance to press the reset button, get geared up for this late charge. 2-2.
And as an athlete, when you get to this part of the season, usually you only have 1, maybe 2 days of practice a week if you're lucky. Mondays are usually off, depending on if you have a midweek or not. Determines, do you have practice? Do you travel Thursday and have a light hit around? And so now for Georgia Tech, you're forced to actually have full-on practice for a couple days, and you haven't done that in a while. And Morales was doing that practice. Why are we talking about practice right now? And I said, you know, sometimes though the athlete doesn't realize that that break from competitive mindset is nice too.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Lily Backus. She now has 3.
This is that changeup that Coach Morales told us they need to be able to identify or lay off, but that ball just drops right out of the zone. Gottlieb unable to get a piece of that.
And Kat, this is kind of what we saw a little bit last year in Athens with Backus in the circle.
With a 4-run lead, Backus is able to pitch a little bit more freely. One pitch isn't going to change the ball game right now. We talked about how unfazed she was with runners getting on in the first 3 innings, but I feel like we might see a pep in her step now.
Midtown, 4-0 our score. Here in the top of the 5th inning at Mewborn Field. And Esther White will lead things off. The Georgia Bulldogs, and there is that rain. You can see it a little clearer next to the exterior illumination.
And you see all the fans putting hats on, hoods on.
Did the rain start falling as soon as we talked to Coach Morales there?
Pretty much.
You know, sometimes when it rains, it pours.
The universe, the lining right now.
Ball and no strikes. Outside corner, and a good pitch from Boyles. White 0 for 1, struck out her first time up. That was in the third. See her numbers this year, batting 200, 4 home runs, great power. Hard-hitting first baseman. It's 1-2. I'm going to ask you a question that I already know the answer to, which is sometimes what we do in this business, right? First, the pitch from Boyles. She fought that one off and gets it over to the shortstop, Simon. First base side is second for out number 1. Playing in the rain, pitching in the rain. I'm guessing you didn't love it, or did you?
No, you don't love it. It's such a conscious effort to make sure you catch the ball, you keep your glove down so that way the rain can't get in, and if it's facing up, you gotta have your towel or something to keep your hand dry too. So there's just a lot that goes into being able to make sure you can grip the ball and continue to have control, especially if you're an upspin pitcher like Boyles.
Now 70 tosses in, and our first pitching change for Georgia Tech. Tell you about the new pitcher in the circle for the Yellow Jackets when we come back. Don't forget the ACC Women's Lacrosse Championship is on ACCN. It starts tomorrow. The quarterfinals bright and early, 11 a.m. Eastern. The semis head your way Friday at 5 and 8 p.m. Eastern with a championship game Sunday, April 27th at noon. Once again, from American Legion Memorial Stadium in the Queen City. The ACC Women's Lacrosse Championship is here, and it's underway beginning tomorrow. With Kat Osterman, Roy Philpott, we are in Midtown Atlanta, and Kinsey Norton is now your new pitcher in the circle for the Yellow Jackets.
Well, Kinsey Norton going to be a completely different look for Georgia to have to adapt to. She throws harder. She's going to be more down in the zone, primarily drop ball. You see there, so that drop and change are going to tunnel, but the big thing is the defense has to work behind her, and as you just pointed out, it's raining, and so now it's even more of a focus for the defense to make sure they make the transition, but that they have a good grip to make the throw. I like the move because of the contrast from Boyles to Norton. I would hesitate just because your defense has to be on with the rain.
And it's back to the top of the order. So the third time through, and now a new pitcher for Georgia Tech. It's Dallas Goodnight digs in for the Bulldogs. Starting center fielder 0 for 2. And I'm not sure why this is the case, but the rain that you see on your television screen looks more intense than what it appears to be to us in real life, if that makes sense. Is that a valid observation?
Yeah. What I see when they show the lights, I would think the stands would be empty, but our fans here are just putting on some hoods and rain gear.
The 0-2 off the glove of Kinsey. And then nobody able to do anything with it. Kinsey Norton able to swat it down. Simon was coming in right behind her.
This pitch, just Norton reaching for it. The downfall was Connolly was actually in position to make a play behind her. But as a pitcher, that instinct so much to reach out, sometimes you can't fight it.
We also had a curious situation during that last break before we had on Eileen Morales. The scoreboard here had it at 3-0. The score tracker, our computers here in the booth, had the score at 3-0. And there was a bit of indecisiveness as to whether or not that final run that Georgia scored in the 4th inning should have counted. It should have. It was not a force on the double play. And so they corrected that, and we double checked with Ellie Morales as well to verify if that's how she saw it, and she did.
That first run scored, and then the double play was obviously a force to first and a tag at home. So the run scored in the middle of that. Georgia putting pressure on Georgia Tech's defense, and heads up though by Leshberg to make that throw home to get the third out.
Good night over at first base. 0-2 the count to Tyler Ellison. You know, it is a interesting position for Tech to be in, having not played in 9 days. You get the rest in the grind time part of the season. Good piece of hitting there for Ellison, and now runners at first and third. The throw airmails third base. Sliding home safely is Dallas Goodnight, and it's 5-0 Georgia. So a single and the E6 and a runner at second base.
Ellison takes his ball back up the middle, but the key here is that Vukdinovic just throws to second. She's never thinking about Goodnight going on to third. Simon should have just eaten that because Goodnight was going to be safe at third anyways. That was an unnecessary throw, which then cost the run. But again, this is Georgia putting pressure on the youth of Georgia Tech's defense, and right now trying to make Georgia Tech make throws with the rain coming down.
5-0. 1-0 the count. Jaden Goodwin. Goodwin out of Paris, Kentucky, Urban County High School. To wait on that pitch, lifts it over to left field, battling the rain, maybe a little bit of wind. Good play by Willer. For out number 2. Yeah, when I asked you that question about the precipitation, I was just wondering if maybe there was any sort of advantage.
No, there's nothing worse, because at the same time, like especially for like Kinley Norton, she's not wearing sleeves. So now you're sweating on top of rain, and so forearms wet, drips into your hands sometimes. Even if you wear sleeves, depending on how hard it's raining, then you have wet sleeves, which is uncomfortable.
That just sounds uncomfortable.
It's never fun to pitch in the rain.
It sounds like a bad meme of some sort on social media. Wet sleeve. 1 ball and no strikes to Sarah Gordon. Run scoring in this frame of the unearned variety. The throwing error. Apple Hill, no stranger to Atlanta as a result. And has Georgia Tech been able to adjust to her changeup and those off-speed pitches so far tonight?
Well, they were able to work walks early by making sure they were disciplined in the zone, but last inning alone, Lily Backus only had to throw 14 pitches, 2 strikeouts. You saw Georgia Tech starting to get overly aggressive, and then she was able to use the changeup out of the zone, which early in the game, Georgia Tech was being very patient on.
Full count. Rain has lessened somewhat. Payout pitch on the way, and Backus, you see Gailey foul it straight back. We've seen Gailey as starting catcher this year in Atlanta. No errors in 37 games on the season. Big time prospect coming out of high school at Franklin County. And the punch out. 4th of the night for Lily Backus.
You can see Lily Backus starting to settle in. Seventh pitch of this at bat, a curveball low and away, but man, tip your hat to Marissa Miller there. She did a great job getting under that pitch.
I mean, that was your best friend, right?
Right there, if I'm Lily Backus, I'm pointing at my catcher. I mean, that was you. It was a good pitch, but that was Miller.
Dinner's on me tomorrow, right? Miller did a tremendous job to frame that one up.
As a pitcher, when you can throw low in the zone and you know your catcher can stay under it and make those look good, man, it just makes your life so much easier. Because even if it's called a ball, the hitter sees it, right? And so they see how close it is when the catcher frames it. It puts some doubt in their mind. So if you're a young catcher, I'm going to say go practice being under balls, especially if you have a drop ball pitcher or a pitcher that has a changeup that sinks. Get under that sucker.
1-2 to Reese Hunter. Junior out of Roswell. Catcher and a shortstop at Roswell High School. Team captain. And the 2-2 is fouled back. That may have been right off the mask for home plate umpire Cam Ellison.
Skipped everyone and got him right in the mask. Miller out to the mound to give him some time.
We had a situation, it was, I guess, 3 weeks ago now in Tuscaloosa, and Georgia was in town to play the Crimson Tide, and you see it right off the bottom part of the mask, and Cam's appears to be okay, but we had a foul ball off the left wrist of Robbie Guest, the home plate umpire. It was late in the game, and he ended up having to leave. It looked like it hurt, and it did.
Well, anytime it's a foul ball, and the worst is those barely foul tips, but it just changes trajectory enough that the catcher can't even deflect it anywhere, and that's what we saw right there.
3-2.
In all my years of playing, maybe one, maybe two times that we had to switch umpires. And I want to say ours was more heat related than it was actual injury.
Backus in the zone, her 5th strikeout, and now 4th time we've seen a strikeout in the last 5 Georgia Tech hitters.
Back-to-back innings with back-to-back strikeouts for the first 2 outs, but you see Backus elevating in the zone. She's working ahead in the count now to where she can elevate to get Georgia Tech being aggressive. Earlier in the game, she was getting behind, so Georgia Tech had the upper hand. That mindset shift almost switched. As soon as Georgia scored, Lily Backus started getting in her groove, working ahead of hitters.
That seemed to change her mentality, and now Backus has retired 7 straight. So here's Emma Simon. She struck out back in the 3rd inning. That was the first strikeout of the night for Lily Backus. And the 1-1 on the way. 1-2. And we talked with Tony Baldwin this week about recent struggles by his team, and really it hasn't been anything related to the offense. The batting average has skyrocketed, about 80 points in the last couple of weeks in SEC play. You know, the question is what happens in the circle and with the defense. Digby. We've seen her a good bit out in right field in Athens this year. 323 hitter. Kinsey Norton remains in the circle on in relief of Voiles. Sharply to short. Emma Simon in plenty of time. Emily Digby, 0 for 1 tonight, 281 on the year. First and only meeting between these two rivals this season. You did make a great point that we are going to see in postseason play in the NCAA tournament, ACC, SEC, early potentially. And I mean, that makes for some great drama potentially.
Well, it makes for great drama. You have a number of ACC teams that are going to be strong 2 seeds, even in the SEC. I mean, Tony Baldwin said, we know we're going to be a 2 seed. Hosting is a very long shot, but we want to be a scary 2 seed that someone doesn't want in their regional. So there are going to be a lot of matchups with the SEC and the ACC where, you know, someone's going to get sent to Florida State. Is that going to be an SEC opponent? Where are a lot of these ACC teams that get in, where are they going to end up? Most of the time there's some radius. There's a 400-mile radius for certain teams. Some teams can fly places, but nonetheless, there's going to be a lot of those matchups.
3 balls and no strikes to Digby in a 4-pitch walk. Emily Digby now trots to first base. Be the first walk issued by Norton.
You know, NCAA always seems to like some good storylines when they send teams to regionals.
We can applaud them for that too, right? That makes it a little spicier. Will Williams. Yeah, we were out at Oklahoma last year, the Norman Regional. It was the first time I had a chance to check out Love's Field. It's tremendous. And OU ended up winning its 4th straight national championship. But speaking of the craftiness of the selection committee, they brought in former Oklahoma assistant, the head coach at Oregon, back to Norman, and that just provided all kinds of fireworks and articles written. Social media was certainly an interesting place to be in. 2 balls and a strike now to Williams. Good take outside.
Well, then you take that storyline theme into Supers last year, or Texas and Texas A&M. That rivalry that has now been renewed with Texas moving to the SEC, that was quite the Super Regional.
Did you get to call that one?
I did not call that Super. I was there as a fan.
That had to be maybe even more fun.
Oh yeah, it was tons of fun. I missed the first game, but I was there for the last 2. And
to third, and back across over to first base in search of the double play by Tucker, to no avail. And there's 2 away.
And that's one of those rivalries, and we haven't seen it here tonight with the fans getting too rowdy, but whew, when I played and last year in Supers, the fans were rowdy in that one.
Well, I was fortunate enough to have Texas A&M in baseball in the College Station Regional. And we had the primetime game that second day. Went into extra innings, and I mean, we got done with it 4 hours later. Aggies ended up winning.
It's okay, Texas won in the long run.
And then Texas got their head coach. But we got done with that game, and I was like, I feel like I just called a Super Bowl. It was so intense. And you take a look at who's been ranked #1, going back through 80 polls, and no surprise Oklahoma's right there, but Texas, and then now the Aggies just dropped down to 2 this week after losing to Mizzou. It was fun while it lasted. We know that Texas is going to have a chance again this year.
Yeah, I think right now coming into the end of season, that 1 seed or that #1 ranking, it's kind of a revolving door because it's who's hot, who's playing well.
Right.
Years past, obviously, Oklahoma just kind of easily running through. I don't want to say easily, it's never easy, but they were able to solidify their 1 seed.
Punch out for Norton, and the threat is retired. Home half of the 6th. Coming up, Georgia, the 5-run lead on the road. Incredible night for Georgia's Lily Backus. 5 strikeouts, including 4 of the last 6 Georgia Tech hitters that she has faced tonight.
Well, as soon as Georgia got on the board, Lily Backus started cooking. As you mentioned, 4 of the last 6, but just been in control of every at-bat since Georgia was able to break through on the scoreboard.
5 innings, yielding just the 2 hits, 3 walks. They all came early. In fact, she walked 2 of the first 3 batters that she faced tonight. And remember, we commented at the time in the circle, despite the fact that there were multiple runners aboard in those first 3 frames, all smiles, never stressed, and that really helped calm things down. And the Yellow Jackets 0 for their last 10 in facing Backus. So she has found the zone late tonight here in the home half of the 6th.
It's ironic. We say she was unfazed with base runners on, but mentioned at 4, I'll say it again. She's got a little swagger now that Georgia's up 5-0, and she's got her 4 strikeouts in the last 2 innings.
Here's the 2-1. Slow roller over to first and racing down the line in time. That's a bang-bang play and a nice job by White. Record the first out of the inning.
Eileen Morales out to ask the home plate umpire, Cam Ellison, if he saw anything different. I feel like that should be a quick one overturned. It looked like Dukovic is, that foot's down before White gets back to the bag.
Well, we were talking about Tennessee moments ago. Lady Vols, the new #1 team, the latest ranking. We told you how Clemson won that game on the road in Knoxville earlier tonight. You see Tennessee, one of those teams without a title, despite the fact that been in the Women's College World Series 8 different occasions. The #1 team, Clemson, went on the road, won in Knoxville. That is the first time Clemson has beat a #1 team on the road in any women's sport in school history.
That's a feat, but we were just talking about it. The person who gets that 1 ranking every week right now is facing tough competition, and you know, you and I got to watch Clemson walk off South Carolina, so they're kind of on an uptick and a high. But defeating the #1 ranked team in their house, that's just a different confidence boost, and that is a huge resume boost for Clemson.
And the ACC, and potentially for Georgia Tech, who plays Clemson this weekend. And that is former Clemson SID Tim Beret dropping that knowledge on us.
Well,
during
you and
that
I
last
talked
break.
about it during that rivalry game last week, last week, how the win against South Carolina was going to be big for Clemson. So now not only do they have that win, now they have this one versus Tennessee. And that young squad for Coach Rittman really starting that climb here at the end of the season, which we talk about everyone's resume, and the one piece a lot of people don't talk about, but it is pertinent, it's kind of the what have you done lately. Your last 10 games can really help you, especially if you're a bubble team or you're bubble to hosting.
Kat Osterman continues to bat 1,000.
Hey, I was 1 for 1 in my college career too.
Vukadinovic safe at first. And some life here for Georgia Tech. So you're able to get leadoff batter aboard. Here comes Willer. Rain has lightened up considerably. Lily Backus comes home, and Willer takes inside. But for Georgia Tech, certainly not out of it, and that rain been a factor at times, it feels like, this evening. Two and one. Willer 0 for 1 this evening. Did draw a walk back in the first inning. 365 on the season. Good power.
Backus really staying stubborn against Willer. All 4 of these pitches have been in on the inside corner. Not even really having to change speeds, just using that curveball into this right-handed hitter.
And now the 2-2. Fought off and just fouled. Alyssa, the leading hitter coming into tonight. Majoring in business administration here at Tech with the hopes of eventually running her own business one day. Mentioned how she played 3 different sports in high school. And now the 2-2 in the dirt. You seeing anything a little different from Lily Backus so far?
More so from Georgia Tech. I think after Georgia scored, Georgia Tech came out overly aggressive. They were chasing balls out of the zone that they had in the first 3 innings. They were trying to make a dent without runners being on base, and now they're starting to be patient again, making sure they see what pitch they want to swing at against Backus. Not chasing. That's 3 of those 4 balls there against Willer were on the inner half. Willer not budging, making sure that ball's over the plate.
4th walk issued by Backus. 11 pitches seen by Tech so far in this frame, and the first 2 reach for now the heart of the order. And here comes Addison Leshper. Willer at first, Vukadinovich at second base, and a first pitch strike to Addison Leshper. Texas native, began her career at Minnesota. 3rd on the team in batting average before this game tonight. Ball and a strike. You can feel a little antsiness here. Newborn Field. Bottom of the 6th inning. Back up the middle, and that's going to be a knock. And the throw back to the circle, a run is in, a toss back to second, everybody's safe, and now it's a 5-1 game. A good piece of hitting by Addison Leshper, a single in the RBI. Second hit of the frame for the Yellow Jackets. And Addison Leshper will pass the baton now to Tucker.
Well, Leshper just drives this pitch right back up the middle, and Coach Eileen Morales waving Vukadinovich home the whole way. And Georgia with the lead, you don't have to let that throw go home. You're trying to see if you can get extra outs somewhere. They tried to backpick Willer, but she was able to get back safely. This is what Georgia Tech needs to do. I'm sure Coach Morales would like them to do it earlier in the game, but string some things together, come up with easy base hit with runners in scoring position, not trying to go for the big swing.
Grayson Tucker, the first pitch, fouls it away. Redshirt freshman out of Marietta, last at her high school. Mentioned her power. With 2 aboard. Tucker now hitting .326.
I was here in Atlanta to call Georgia Tech and Syracuse, and Coach Morales told us then, my kids don't mind the close game, and they'll pull it out at the end, and they're never phased. And I'm just sitting here going, can we do this earlier in the game so that way we have momentum? And I think this is a prime example of that. They had runners on early, just was not able to cash in, and now as their backs are against the wall, they're starting to heat up and play with a little bit more urgency.
Tucker pops out to Ellison at second. Brings us back to Eliana Gottlieb. And a nod of approval on that strike call as Backus retreats in and now gets set. Nothing in 2.
Williams playing back over there at third base. Gottlieb trying to see if she can bunt single her way on. Just stay down with that pitch, knowing that Backus has that changeup. She likes to throw it a lot with 1 strike.
Coach Morales said they had a great practice yesterday after the time off, 9 days between games. Got opportunities tonight. Bulldogs have out-hit Georgia Tech only 6-4. She's ready to get in there and play.
I think she's always ready. Her body might not be, but mentally she's ready.
She's ready. Big cut. Enormous strikeout for Lily Backus. Number 6 tonight. And Gottlieb retired.
Lily Backus worked ahead 0-2. Stretched on the outside and then stretches up in the zone. Gottlieb unable to lay off that one. Go back to those were pitches though early in the game. Georgia Tech was able to lay off of because Backus was behind in the count, so they weren't having to try to be aggressive and protect the plate.
Curve to Connolly, and now 100 pitches for Lily Backus. It's been one of these stories tonight in this rivalry. Fifth pitch of the inning coming from Backus. And a check swing makes it 2 balls and a strike.
Backus and Miller both pretty sure that Connolly offered at that one. It was close.
I know you thought she did as a former pitcher. I did as well.
I thought she did just from this angle. I thought I saw the barrel on the other side of her shoulders, but not the case.
A 5-1 game, 3 balls and a strike. Georgia Tech gets one more base runner, and then one swing can tie it up. And Connolly awaiting. Full count. Every big pitch that Backus has needed to make tonight, she has made it every single time.
She has. She's really stepped it up, and as we mentioned, once Georgia scored, she stepped it up even more. But early in this game, she was able to record outs when she needed to, with Georgia Tech threatening, but right now, Georgia Tech's going to have the biggest threat they've had so far in this game with bases loaded.
Connolly hit by the pitch. Brings us to Jaden Gailey. Oh, Gailey does have 3 home runs this season. 1 for 2 tonight. Jackets have him loaded in a big moment, a first pitch strike on the outside corner. One swing could tie it up. Wheeler at third. Leshber at second, Connolly at first base. 1-2.
You see Backus using that off-speed pitch to get strike 2, and then she can expand the zone with strike 3.
Back to the circle, in and out of the glove of Backus, and everybody's safe. It's 5-2. Now the single back to the circle, the RBI for Gailey.
Change up that Gailey was just able to get a little bit of spin on that, but Backus took her eye off to make the throw before that was secure in her glove.
And the wheels in motion for both sides. And it feels like we're on the verge of this being a brand new game.
You know, your team wears too much protective padding when you can't carry it in across the field. Gailey being tasked to bring home 5 hitters worth.
Edgman now the pinch runner at first base. Reese Hunter, the catcher. Georgia Tech batter now. 5-2, the tying run. Standing at first. Hunter's 0 for 2 tonight with a strikeout.
Hunter did have a good piece of hitting in the second inning as she lined that ball in the 5-6 hole that Williams made the diving play on.
Big cut, fouled it back. 1-2. Tech in the midst of a rally. Put the deficit down to 3. Now with 5 hits tonight. And the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Another big moment for Backus. 6 strikeouts this evening. Fly ball up in the air. Ballpark will hold it. And Goodwin retires the side. Tech adds a pair of runs. And it was Hannah Davila that had stepped in as a pinch hitter. Brings us back to the top of the order. Dallas Goodnight rips that one foul. 0-2. 5-2 ball game. Georgia Tech. And the bases loaded. Able to play 2. Bottom of the 6th inning. And it's up to Norton to try to get Tech's offense back as quickly as possible. Goodnight flies out to center field. Vukadinovich was there, made a nice play. Well, Norton has come in out of the bullpen and done a nice job in relief. Foils.
Yeah, true to form, her defense has had to work behind her because she is a drop ball pitcher. A lot of balls get put in play. But minus the throw that allowed Goodnight to score, defense has been solid.
0-1 to Ellison. A couple of hits on the evening, a double, a single, and a run scored. Junior from McDonough, Georgia. UGA 35-11 all time against Tech. We were figuring out those numbers earlier, and we gave you the stat. Coach Morales 6-3 against UGA, and her career as a player, that means she owns more than half of the wins against arch rival.
Yeah, she had a hand in over half those victories, and something she's very proud of, and trying to get her squad to understand that mindset and being able to compete with and against Georgia.
And she said it's a fine line to try to describe it to them, not that she needs to dive in too deeply and understanding the close proximity, the conference rivalry that exists, all the components, clean old-fashioned hate.
On the flip side of that rivalry, Chelsea Wilkinson 6-0 against Georgia Tech in her time in the black and red. 30 innings pitched, and Georgia Tech hit .093 against her.
I would probably put that on a t-shirt and just wear it around. Like this week of this game, you can either go 6-0 or .093, or if I was Coach Morales, 6-3. And I think people would understand what they were talking about, the power of the t-shirt. Rain starting to pick back up. They did make the right call by starting this contest on time, and that was a bit of a debate. To Simon, it could be 2, and it is. The talent on display. The shortstop, and guess who will lead things off? 9-1-2. Yellow Jackets need 3 to keep this one going. Emma Simon, how impressive has she been? Not only tonight, all season long in Midtown Atlanta. Well, it's a rainy night in Georgia. Stop me if you've heard that before. 5-2. Bottom of the 7th inning. Bulldogs leading the Yellow Jackets downtown Atlanta. Beautiful skyline. Cat Osterman, Roy Philpott, so glad you could join us this evening. Bulldogs have not trailed after just kind of a nail-biting start between the two, working around some of this bad weather, and Lily Backus Cat's going to try to go the distance tonight.
Well, Lily Backus, a little bit of a shaky start with free passes. Georgia Tech had runners on the first 3 innings. But as we've mentioned, as soon as Georgia scored, Lily Backus came out a different pitcher in control of the strike zone.
And a pinch hitter steps in. Guinea. And a good start for the Jackets here at the bottom of the 7th inning.
But for Tony Baldwin and his staff, to see Lily Backus be able to go a complete game, compete well, that's what they want to see. The difference for Georgia, they played last weekend. All their pitchers have been throwing, so for Georgia Tech, they needed to get both aces back in the circle. Everyone, including Mangini here, pitch hitting, getting in and on some action today to get back in the competitive mindset.
McGinney pinch hits for Simon. It's back to the top of the order. Dinovich, first pitch strike from Backus. If you are Georgia and Tony Baldwin, how closely are you keeping your eye what's happening in the circle right now?
Well, you're keeping your eye on it, but they really haven't squared Backus up consistently. She's put some free passes on. They had a couple errors that have allowed runners to advance. Lily herself unable to make a play in the last inning. Unless something dramatic happens, can't see them going to Randy Rolling.
And Backus wanted a dry ball there. She'll get it. Home plate umpire Cam Ellison.
You really do have to tip your hat both to Backus and Norton coming in this game while it was raining. Neither one has let the rain be a factor.
And you wonder, judging by how Backus has thrown those last couple of pitches, if maybe that moisture is a little bit more of an issue. Rain has picked up steam again. Not that time, 1-2. You see her grasping that towel.
And the key is how many of those towels are in the dugout, because you can't wear it out there every inning and it actually stay dry.
And a strikeout. That'll be the 7th of the ball game for Lily Backus.
Well, Backus trying to use this curveball and actually cuts down in the zone. Whether that was intentional or part of your grip slipping because of the rain, that curveball goes down and out. Vukadinovich unable to do anything with that pitch.
Here's Alyssa Willer. Off speed. Heart of the zone. Willer tonight 0 for 1 officially, has walked twice and scored a run. 365 on the campaign. Tech looking to get at least one more base runner. Really start to make things interesting here. 0-2. Lily Backus now at 120 tosses.
You see Backus going back to back changeups there. Willer not offering at the last 2, but that pitch, a pitch that it doesn't require as much snap. So a lot of times that's easier to place in the zone, especially when your hand's wet and it's raining.
Emma Simon has re-entered as the runner over at first. 0-2. And a fly out to right field. And now Georgia Tech down to its final out. Georgia Tech off for 9 days, back in action tonight. And it comes down to Addison Leshper. Keep this game alive. foul ball.
That's a snag there by White.
Thought she may have saved it there for a moment, right in front of the bag in foul territory, though. We've had some plays tonight. It's been a game of intrigue. Scoreless through the first 3 innings, and then the 4-run outburst by Georgia. Tech rallied in the 6th. Just trying to do so again here in the 7th. Addison 1 for 2. Drove in a run and has walked this evening. Well, you and I have seen a couple of great rivalry matchups here in the last week. It's fun to be a part of these games. It means so much, and we've seen some great softball, Kat.
In the rivalry matchups, regardless of what's been happening in your season, everybody gets up. So you come with your A game, come with that extra little oomph to try to make a difference in the rivalry game, but at the same time, just play with a little bit more of an edge.
Yellow Jackets down to their final strike, and Leshber agreed with the assessment of home plate umpire Cam Ellison. I think the broadcasters get that way too for these games, right?
I don't know about you. I was like still on a high the next morning after our last one.
3-2. Yeah, extra innings, walk-off home run. Last Tuesday night up at Porter Stadium. Those Clemson Tigers will be here in Atlanta this weekend. Called strike 3, and the punch out for Backus. The exclamation point, her 8th strikeout of the night, and the Georgia Bulldogs win in Atlanta 5-2.
Well, Georgia Tech put pressure on Lily Backus early, but as the game went on, the senior settled in, was in command the second half of the game. Georgia Tech put together a little rally, but Lily Backus, the senior,